daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle podcast. I'm Michael Grahamslaw, and as always, it is lovely to have you with us. England are on the brink of securing their spot at next summer's World Cup, and all that stands between them and a confirmed ticket to North America is one night in Riga against Latvia. But before we get to all that, I'm joined by the brilliant duo of Iain McKay and Nicola Pringle-Adams. Iain, I'll start with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Thank you very much for such a warm welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was better until about 2 minutes ago when we started recording this for the first time. But we'll skip that and we'll go into Nick. How are you doing, Nick?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Yes, I'm very good.
Great stuff. So we'll get into the game. Thomas Tuchel's side have been near perfect in qualifying. 5 wins from 5. No goals conceded, and a real sense of momentum building. I'm going to go through it all today because it's all very exciting stuff. We'll start with where things stand. England top Group K, 15 points from 15. And because Serbia lost in Albania, which all of a sudden makes the 5-0 win look pretty tame, really, a win in Riga tomorrow will guarantee qualification. Now, we've seen some pretty good performances recently. As I mentioned, the 5-0 against Serbia, the 3-0 over Wales last week, and it feels like England are finally clicking into gear. But Iain, I'll start with you. Obviously, the Southgate era, a very good one for England, but since taking over, has there been any major differences you've seen in Tommy Tuchel's side in comparison to the one that's failed to win World Cups and European Championships, but got so close?
Oh, it's difficult to compare directly, isn't it? Because Southgate steered England to some incredibly straightforward competition qualification groups in the same way that Tuchel has. I do think that within Tuchel's reign, I agree, was quite stolid performances, quite boring to watch. But the last 2 games, that win in Serbia and the way they dismantled Wales, certainly in the first half, it is exciting. And particularly exciting because I think maybe 5 of England's best players aren't in that team.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is quite exciting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. What about you, Nicola? I mean, you weren't exactly a fan of England under Gareth Southgate. You've mentioned numerous times you didn't really like the football, and unless it was a tournament, weren't bothered. Has that changed under Thomas Tuchel? Are we playing a little bit better? Or is it same of, I'm still not really England, Newcastle through and through?
I think my love for international football is just a bit stagnant. I don't really enjoy watching it anyway. However, I will agree with Iain, is particularly the Wales win, I enjoyed watching them. And I don't know if it's because we're seeing a team, like Ian's just said, with different players in. Obviously, we're missing, 5 or 6 key England players, like you'd say. And I always really enjoy when managers, and this is international or league football, always take a bit of a leap of faith and pick players that they wouldn't normally pick. I know some of them have had to be picked because of injuries and things like that, but I always really enjoy when a manager does that, and I don't think Tuchel is scared to do that anyway. We've seen that when he first joined as an England manager, he picked players that were like, oh, Gareth Southgate would have never done that. So I think from that aspect of things, I get a little bit more excited because I like seeing different players get a different chance. Whereas Gareth Southgate would just still pick the same old team because I don't have any idea why he would. But yeah, so in that aspect, I wouldn't say enjoying watching them more because I still don't. But
It's an improvement.
It's an improvement. We're making progress. Yeah.
Hey, to be honest, that's if we're not going to win trophies, that's the thing that matters the most, really, getting people to want to watch the nation again. And although trophies are the most important thing, let's be honest, if England were playing, let's say, Georgia in a friendly, you were realistically going to be sitting there under Southgate and going, I don't really want to watch this. But under Tuchel, there's a likelihood that you'll see players make their first caps, see how they do. I mean, there's probably a David Nugent 2.0, one cap, one goal. I know there's been a couple like that, but you get players like that in those kind of games. It makes it a little bit more exciting, and Tuchel's clearly able to do that.
Yeah.
We have decimated our last two opposition, as we say, Serbia and Wales. We've been really ruthless early on, but for me, the last couple of games is where it all clicked. I didn't feel any difference at all originally. Defensive stability, priority numero uno. It was for Southgate, and it kind of was for Tuchel in the opening games as well. Everyone loves 3-0s over Latvia, and what was it, 1-0 over Albania or something, might have been 2. But it's starting to kick into play. We're getting ruthless, but we haven't really played anyone of any note that could cause us problems. We thought Serbia were that kind of opposition, and then they didn't do anything at home against Albania. So that's kind of, put a little spanner in the works there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to ask, does it feel like there's potentially a concern that England might not play any sides in competitive football that could cause us any problems before the first World Cup game next month? Because all we have between now and then will be friendlies. What do you think, Iain?
For the first World Cup game at the World Cup,
But,
do you mean?
Yeah.
And so you're counting the final qualification games as friendlies because we'll already have qualified.
Well, they're not going to be
There's still 2
tests,
matches to
really,
play,
are
isn't
they?
there? No, there won't
3.
be. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
easy group, isn't it? It's an easy group. I think it's just the way of the world. I think we've never been clinging on and getting through on the last game of the qualification. We do a lot of that, and I think Tuchel's been quite clever. I think the incumbent, the squad that's there now, is playing well, have earned those shirts, and he's making it bloody hard for half the guys that Southgate would already have written down on the team sheet before he'd had them in for training. He's making it hard for those to get their place back. So hopefully that will elevate their performance, and also inspire the guys who are in there, the Elliot Andersons, for example, the Dan Burns. Hope that will inspire their performance in these matches that come up. I think it's healthy competition, real competition, which I don't think under Southgate would have had, because I think Kane would walk back into the team. Bellingham was fit. He would have walked back in the team for these two, and he hasn't. I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, I agree, to be honest. For me, it's just a case of I've got a feeling this tournament's going to end up coming a bit too soon for Tuchel, because the only team we've played that had any threat whatsoever was Senegal, and they put 3 past us. And it's a friendly, let's be honest, we weren't really seeing the best of England, but it's one of those that when, let's say, in the group, there's always a chance you could play the likes of Brazil. England at the minute are ranked, I believe, 10th. So it wouldn't put us in the top 8, I believe, of World Cup qualifying. I mean, you're going to play one of those top teams. So is there still, for you, Nick, is there still a little bit of a concern that, we haven't seen us tested against any top teams?
Yeah, always. Always. Sorry, my attitude towards England isn't great, is it? Maybe I need to change up. No, I think what happens with England is they get very complacent. And like you say, Iain, they're playing in a very, I don't want to be disrespectful to them teams, but they're playing in a very low caliber group. So, and you see it in the past where, they become complacent. I mean, I don't know. This is going to be Thomas Tuchel's first proper test, I guess. Well, it is going to be his first test. We might be pleasantly surprised. Obviously, I've just sat before and spoke about how he always picks people that he's not afraid to pick. Whereas, like Iain's just touched on, Southgate got very complacent in his squad picking. Was it a case of that? Was it a case of, we didn't take any tests or any risks with the squad prior to Thomas Tuchel coming? I always get a little bit worried when we, like you say, we get the likes of, I don't know, Germany, Spain, the big teams like that. I mean, I know Germany are not the same team as what they used to be, but it's still a test. Yeah, I guess we'll just won't know until the World Cup comes around. But what I would like to see is, like Iain said, I'm not saying Jude Bellingham should be picked for England. Obviously, I think he should be, but what I like is Thomas Tuchel isn't afraid to be like, no, I'm not picking him. He's not ready yet, and he's picked the likes of Elliot Anderson and people like that. So I hope he continues to do that when it gets to these big tournaments. I hope when it gets to the big tournaments, he doesn't just do what Southgate does and become complacent, because that's not it's not what it's about.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Southgate would have 18, 19 of his 23-man squad going to the World Cup already written down. There'd be very few places up for grabs, and yet it
you're
feels
probably
like
right.
both full-back positions are up for grabs. There's probably 3 or 4 of them fighting for the centre-back positions. We know we've got, I think Saka's place is probably
Cemented.
safe. But down the left, Gordon's in there at the moment. But, if he throws in a dodgy performance and that, we've got Eze or Rashford that are doing well at club level that can come in there. I think, and in midfield, we've just got such an embarrassment of riches in midfield. Midfield has been superb. Rice and Addison. But then you're thinking of a midfield that doesn't have Palmer or Foden or Bellingham. It's incredible, really. And Adam Wharton at Palace, who maybe in club form is the best of the lot. He's not even in the squad yet.
So true.
I think it's healthy, and I think everything is up to grab instead of people playing this last season before a World Cup, almost already being on the plane, which is
You've
what it
also
would have been
got
under Southgate.
which I was surprised to see him not picked. And I know people are going to disagree, but Jack Grealish, who's playing really well for Everton at the minute.
He's been exceptional.
So he's been real good for them. So I will be if he continues this season, I'll be very surprised not to see him in the England squad. Competition is hot, I guess. So just have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into a bit of team news and we can talk about a bit more about potentially increase Grealish. Does that make Gordon, is that going to make Gordon push himself a little bit further for these games? But first, we're going to get to an advert from Bionique.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
Great stuff. So, Harry Kane didn't feature against Wales due to that ankle injury, but Tuchel's convinced he'll be fit to start in Riga. Now, which is essential because Ollie Watkins is out with injury. But other than that, do you both think it'll be pretty much a full-strength side? Maybe a few rotations in defence where maybe a Dan Burn would come in. What do you think? It'd be pretty much strongest side, Iain?
Well, it's the main event on this little international break, isn't it? Wales was a friendly.
Yeah.
This has got World Cup qualifying points against it. Good news if Kane is fit to come in. I think it's hard to think that he's been saving Dan Burn in reserve and letting Gay and Stones play centre half, because I quite like Gay and Stones. I quite like Gay and Stones at centre half. But yeah, I mean, there will be rotation. Dan Burn should come in. Maybe Konsa gets a go at centre half as well at some stage.
Like that,
yeah, he played right back. Can't remember who with missing Tino and Lewis Hall. Lewis Skelly could even get a kick off at left back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there'll be some rotation, but I think you've got Rice and Anderson in midfield. You'll have Saka and Gordon down the wings. I think the creative side of the team will largely start as they finish, because they did so well in the first half against Serbia, in the first half against Wales. He'll want that. He'll want to be 2 or 3 up at half time, and then he can coast through to the end again.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one thing that England have got really good at in these games is getting the lead early and actually just ending the game in the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the big one is for me is going to be on the left, where it's Rashford or Anthony Gordon. Now, Ian, you've said there you think it'll be Gordon. Nicola, do you think there's potential that Rashford takes Gordon's place there, given Rashford's in good form and Gordon, well, we know how he is for Newcastle. He hasn't been in great form, has he?
It's very up and down. I actually think we'll probably see pretty much the same lineup as what we did against Wales, obviously minus the likes of Ollie Watkins. Yeah, obviously I would 100% put money on that Harry Kane will probably take that position. But no, I think we'll probably see Anthony Gordon start. And then, like you guys have just touched on, England are good at getting a hold in the game at the minute, whereas under Southgate, they would go one up and then they would sit back for the rest of the time. So no, I think we'll probably see pretty much the same. And then if, and obviously when, or hopefully if it's going our way, I think we'll probably see some early changes, like from half time. I think we'll probably see the likes of Dan Burn come on, which I'd like to see. We always like to see our own in England shirts. Rashford, because I wouldn't necessarily say Gordon's in horrific form for Newcastle.
No.
I wouldn't.
Not good.
Just not good. So I think this international break is actually probably going to do him the world of good, getting some game time and things like that. So yeah. Sorry, Iain, go.
What Tuchel's watched this season, he will see that I think Gordon's best two performances this season have been his last two performances for England. So that's how Harry Maguire kept his place all those months when he wasn't even getting a game at Man United, because he was excellent when he came in for England and Southgate trusted him. And I think that's what Tuchel's trying to foster. He's trying to foster the sort of a club feeling at international level. And if he trusts him, then, I wonder whether he's going to trust Elliot Anderson when Cole Palmer and Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham are all knocking on the door super fit, asking if they're coming or not. It's interesting to see how it'll unfold. But I don't think Elliot Anderson's done anything to play himself out of the starting position.
No, I completely agree. I think he's been fantastic, and he complements Rice so well in that position that when it comes to the World Cup, you almost think he'll be this year's Calvin Phillips, where you've got the midfielder in there just to make the other two tick, and Anderson is so good at doing that. But we'll wrap this up with our prediction for the game. Nicola, I'll ask you first. Do England qualify for the World Cup tomorrow night? And if they do, what do you think the score will be?
Yes, I think they will qualify tomorrow night, and I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0, same as in the first game. Iain, what about you? Do we qualify for the World Cup tomorrow night? And if we do, what's the score going to be?
Yes, I was going to say 3-0 too. So 3-0 too, that's three scores. No, I was going to say 3-0 as well. However, if I can't have that, I'm going to go one more. 4-0. Comfortable win.
Well, there you have it. As you can probably imagine, all three of us are very confident in another strong England performance. I'll go for a 5-0 because I do think I'll go one back. Yeah, I just think we're that good. No, it's more the fact that Latvia have played 14 games in a row against top 10 nations and lost 14 in a row. They've scored once, and it was in a 7-1 defeat to Germany. So if they're going to get anything against England, it would be really, really quite embarrassing for Thomas Tuchel. But whatever happens, it's arguably the smoothest qualifying campaign I've ever seen. Jordan Pickford has made about 3 saves in the entire tournament so far. But Tuchel does deserve credit for how quickly he's reshaped the side. We saw how difficult Lee Carsley found it against the likes of Greece. So that really can't be overstated. We'll have the full reaction and analysis right here on the Daily Newcastle podcast after the game. Maybe some ratings, maybe some talking points, and maybe a bit of celebration because we'll have qualified for the World Cup. From all of us here, Iain, Nicola, and myself, thanks for listening. Enjoy the game. And as always, come on, England.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.